Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Catalyst meditation for today. This is our pre-meditation talk, and uh, our subject today, our sort of subject today, and it's been growing over the past um, 12 hours or so. But our subject for today is spiritual discipline. And it is either a really small subject or a really, really big one, either too small for a half an hour or way too big for a half an hour. And I'm aiming for way too big. So, uh, what I mean by this, I mean, I think all of us have an understanding of what we mean by discipline. It's one of the first orders of our transit from being a child to being an adult. It's also the transit of being a childish society from an adult society. Um, think about the things that you did or the things that you contemplated doing. I'm supposed to do this when you were a child. Um, think about the um, uh, from little tiny child, and you are uh, playing with toys and riding your bike and having other fun stuff like that, um, to being an older child and doing things that were sometimes a little devious, sometimes a little mischievous, sometimes a lot mischievous. Um, I'm thinking about my brother and I going over to Philadelphia, where my grandparents lived, and they lived right on a bus line in a crowded neighborhood. And we would get, and I have to be very careful with this, we would get these white pinto beans that were of a particular size that would fit down a straw. And um, when the bus would go by, the bus stopped at our house, at my grandparents' um, tenement house. And when the bus started off, we would have a mouthful of these pinto beans, and we would spit them at the open sides of the bus and pelt people with wet pinto beans. And I'm sorry, this is terrible. I'm so ashamed that we did something like this. And and not get an irate bus driver who would actually stop the bus, get out and chase us down the street. And how dare you hit my bus? I don't think he cared about the passengers, but we were hitting his bus. And even getting chased down the street was fun. We didn't get caught. That would not have been fun. So so the times of your life when you completely lacked any level of of any lack of discipline at all, it's predictable. You're supposed to do that kind of stuff at that time. And then there was other stuff that you did when you were in college, and I'm sure the statute of limitations has run on all that stuff. So I don't have to think about that anymore. That's called a joke. Um, um, and then at that point, we would think about societal discipline. There's certain things that you do because society expects you to do those things. Um, and then there was personal discipline, You wanted to, I was gonna say, you want to lose weight. In my time, back in when I was in high school and college, I was doing the absolute best I could to gain weight. I was the 98-pound weakling intellectual in a city that did not value intellectuals. Um, and and then the things that you did for spiritual discipline. You went to church, or you went to temple, or you went to synagogue, or you went to Colville, or you went to wherever you do that, all that strange stuff that you don't do in any of your other buildings. You do all your strange stuff, and then you go home. And probably don't think about what you did when you were in the church. And then we get called to a higher level of discipline. And that's the discipline of our um, transformationists, our social and spiritual transformationists, the people that I refer to as my lineage. Um, and these are the people who are asking us um, to take action in a way that would change us, change the people that we were associated with, and change our society. And those people were people like Martin Luther King, people like Mahatma Gandhi before him, people like Nelson Mandela and Václav Havel after him. These are all the people who said the action that we are supposed to be taking, the action um, of our society, those actions may be legally correct. I'm asking our society is asking us to do these things, and completely morally bankrupt. These are the things we should not be doing. These are the things that a society shouldn't ask us to do, shouldn't require that we do. Um, and I feel that we are at those times right now, in that I'm not alone. I think that there are many, many, many people out there who feel that, there's something fundamentally wrong with this society. And the things that are wrong with the society are things that we can't address, or it's difficult for us to address. Um, and this is one of the problems of the the act of protest. That is the act of what gets called in the media civil disobedience. But I don't think of it as civil disobedience. I think of it as spiritual obedience, spiritual devotion, spiritual discipline. So let's look at at a few of those actions in the past, and then start looking at what we are being called to do right now. We all know about the the Gandhian actions for um, national independence from their colonial masters. And one of the most important of those actions was the Salt March. Um, oh, and by the way, for those of you who have responded to the flyer and stated what your preference for what you would like us to highlight for movie night, thank you. And for those of you who have not done that, which is the other 98% of the folks who are on this on this line right now, and the folks who get the flyer, you should do so. Um, but Gandhi would be an excellent movie for us to watch together with appropriate number of bathroom breaks. It's a long movie. Um, the the idea of the Salt March is a central idea of um, a movement based in spiritual discipline. The idea of the Salt March was we're going to go to the sea, and we're going to make salt. Now, salt is one of, if not the most common ingredient in our lives after water. Uh, Number one. Number two, it is also the most necessary ingredient after water. Um, you can go without food for a while. You can't go without salt for a while. And it's the thing that the British said they were going to tax. Taxing salt was like taxing life. From the British point of view, we got a ready market right here. And from the Indian person's point of view, especially an Indian peasant, we're going to make you pay for your life. So Gandhi said, "No, that's okay. We'll go on. We'll go down there and we'll make our own." If that had happened to him, if that had happened to him and his followers, that would not have made even a ripple in a local newspaper. The fact that there were hundreds of thousands of them that went down and did that at the same time, everybody paid attention. And the government didn't know what to do about it because, it's not like Gandhi said, get your guns, rise up and slay your colonial masters. They would have the British government would have known exactly what to do. And we know exactly how that would have turned out. Um, Instead, he said, no, go and do something that, like I said, where people did all the time, make some salt. And that galvanized people's attention. We just want to do something that's ordinary, and these folks won't let us. Raise that to another level, and look at what happened in the United States during the civil rights movement. We want to go to the Woolworths counter and sit down and order a hot dog and a Coke and pay our bill and leave. People did that by the thousands every day. Back when Woolworths counters were really popular, um, that might be the first of the real fast foods. You can be in and out in like 10 seconds. Um, Unless you are black. In that case, you're just out. And the idea of going to the Woolworths counter for a black person and just sitting down was not a particularly big deal. Call the cops, drag you out, and you're done. Sitting down at the rate of a few hundred, meaning you occupy every single stool, and if you're not getting served, you sit there until the cops drag each and every one of you out, and then there's another 100 to take their place, and and for and Woolworth's counter is shut down, not by violent action, not because they were calling the people behind the counter names, not because they were demanding food. They sat there very, very quietly and very peacefully, dressed in their Sunday best. The only thing that was offensive by their action was the color of their skin. Um, These were very these were very thoughtful and very careful activities that were designed to call forth a particular response from the government. Um, this response is real simple. Um, Shut that action down and show that you have no moral authority. You have lots and lots of violent authority. You have lots and lots of coercive authority. But that does not build a society. It doesn't even maintain a society. What that does is it blocks the progress of a society. It shows that the people who are doing the protesting, the people who are doing waiting at the counter. I don't like using the word protest. I think that when Gandhi and King and Mandela and Havel were at their best was when they were doing the actions of vision implementation and when they were at their least, at their worst, was when they were um, walking down the street and shouting, or walking down the street holding a placard. Um, it wasn't the kind of thing that would stir people's imagination. When they went, when the people who saw that went home, they said, I saw some people walking down the street. They had some signs. I wasn't really paying attention. That's why I'm late for dinner today. How was your day? But when there was vision implementation, he said, wow, traffic was held up because they were arresting all these black people because they ordered a hot dog and a Coca-Cola at the Woolworths. What's wrong with that? Okay. I mean, so it's the thing that gets in your mind, not just the action itself, but thinking about the consequences of the action, thinking about what the next step of the action is, etc. So um, we, I, have been thinking about what is the salt march of the 21st century. What is the discipline we are calling people forward for in the 21st century? Um, one of the on the one hand, there's nothing to be done. Our existing society is seamless. It is flawless. Everything is done perfectly. Um, if there are people who are not um, completely happy with it, it's their own fault. It's their fault for being crazy. It's their fault for being drug addicted. It's their fault for being sick. It's their fault for not being able to find a job. It's their fault for and once we get to that us versus them mentality, all bets are off. So, um, where do you push the the our behavior, and how do you do that in order to get people to understand what's actually happening? Um, One of the key elements of this, of an action of spiritual discipline, is the action has to be illegal. In each one of the instances, the action is um, completely understandable, completely like why can't I drink at the closest water fountain? Why can't I eat at the Woolworths counter? Why can't I sit in one of the front seats in the back in the bus if the seat is available? Um, well, so what is an action that highlights the immorality of uh, our society. Well, one of the things that I'm going to be doing, and I will be asking all of us to do, um, is something that has to do not so much with legality, but our morality. Um, and that is addressing the big issue of our time, which is not making salt, which is not who gets to drink out of what water fountain, but the notion of us being lied to by our entire society to the point that you can't tell what's the truth and what's a lie. I've talked about this before, but I think it's time for us to do something about this. Um, I'll be saying more about this over the next couple of weeks, but what I am going to be doing and what I'm going to ask each of us to do is in whatever media that we focus on, and we'll be focusing on one or two specific mediums, um, is when we see that we're being lied to say, this is a lie. And I don't care what the content is. I don't care if the content is pro or con. Don't lie to me. And for Sharif Abdullah sitting in Portland, Oregon, to say that, that will have not even a tiny ripple in the stream of lying that's coming out of all of the various media. If 50 of us do it, it might make a little tiny ripple. If 500 of us do it, it'll make a bigger ripple. And over that, people will start to see, I believe, that number one, that the emperor has no clothes on, and number two, um, that we um, uh, that we can do something about it. I'll go more into the details of this in the next couple of weeks. If you want to know more about it today, I'll talk about it when we get to our informal discussion. But for us to be very, very clear that there are moral standards to society, and even more than there being moral standards, there have to be spiritual standards. Just like I can't, get a knife and run out in the street and start slashing everybody I see because some of them may be people I don't like. We have to be able to tell when, where, and how we are being honest with each other. I don't not care that you're lying to me as long as I know that everybody knows that you're lying. Okay. What I care about is when the lie is packaged in such an alluring way that we begin to treat it as though it's the truth. And I think my internal truth, my internal compass depends on my ability to discern truth from falsehood. For many young people, they are unable, they don't even know what the words mean anymore because the lies are packaged in such a way that they come at them that come at them in such a way that they can't tell truth from falsehood. Um, we have to be those people. We have to be, well, we can't take that action as long as we ourselves are lying to people, which is why it's going to take us a few weeks to work on our own morality. This is one of the things that Gandhi, that King, that Havel insisted on the behavior of the people that were following, that those people be morally upright. There was actually a dress code, and you had to sign a dress code in order to participate in the demonstrations, the civil rights demonstrations. You had to wear your Sunday best in order to get thrown to the ground and hit with fire hoses and arrested. And this was a statement that says we're going to be at our best. And if you don't know what your best is, if people get attracted to you just because you're breaking windows, which was what Occupy and the whatever was going on in Portland a few years ago, um, that people were seeing humanity at its worst and reacted to that, negatively reacted to that. And the people who were out there doing it didn't care that they were getting negative reactions. This was like not good stuff. Again, I have a lot more to say about this, maybe in half an hour. I have a lot more to say about this in over the next couple of weeks. Our action's going to be in mid-October that I will be taking, and I will invite others to take. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Catalyst Meditation, our weekly Catalyst Meditation. Welcome to those who are with us for the first time. Welcome to those who are on the outline, and I've got an anonymous hippo on the outline. I think I've told you that of those who access the outline not by name, the Google throws up an icon, and today's icon is the hippo. Welcome to those who've been with us in the past on the Catalyst Meditation and can't join us today. What we do at this time, and again, I'm looking at my list of participants, and it looks like all of us have been part of the weekly Catalyst Meditation before. What we do at this time is a breathing exercise where we connect with each other and we connect with all other beings and also connect with ourselves in the meditation. This is something that makes our connection being inner and outer is something that makes our meditation different from other meditative techniques. So we're going to spend 3 minutes in this centering within and without. And then we'll spend another minute or so in a silent centering within and without. And we'll start that now with a timed breathing app. And so I invite you to breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, And if we can keep going for another minute or so in our silent meditation. And if we can come back to our mutual center, we will begin with our intentions. As the imaginal cells within the chrysalis come together to form the butterfly out of the disintegrated caterpillar cells, we come together to form a gateway for the meta-consciousness of the mind of Gaia. We act for ourselves personally, and we act as aspects of Gaia, of Mother Earth. Holonic consciousness is a fundamental aspect of the universe. Every atom in the universe holds consciousness. It is always with us. We're acknowledging that now because many humans have forgotten and many humans have been in denial. We have to reawaken our connection to Gaia, to Mother Earth, for the benefit of all living beings. And we acknowledge our connection to all beings. This connection includes all humans, including those who have gone before and those who are to come. All beings who thrive on and in the air. All beings who thrive on and in the water. All beings who thrive on and in the earth. all beings who thrive on and in our bodies, all beings that thrive on light, the beings of the plant realms, all meta-beings, including the earth as a living meta-being, air as a living meta-being, fire as a living meta-being, water as a living meta-being, all colony beings, meta-beings that are collections of solo beings, and this includes murmurations, colonies, schools, hives, pods, flocks, herds, migrations, harmonies, swarms, and other forms of colony beings. We especially acknowledge and honor those beings who are partnered and bound with us, including those beings we rely upon for food, for security, for assistance, and for love and companionship, and those beings who rely on us for the same. And we acknowledge all other forms of consciousness, known and unknown to us. Having acknowledged these beings, we now blend all of our energies. May all who are part of Gaia, who are part of Mother Earth, be connected to and in perfect health, harmony, and balance with each other and with Gaia for the common good. We are in perfect physical health, harmony, and balance. We are in perfect emotional health, harmony, and balance. We are in perfect relational health, harmony, and balance. We are in perfect mental health, harmony, and balance. We are in perfect spiritual health, harmony, and balance. We are in perfect holonic health, harmony, and balance. We are in perfect spatial and temporal health, harmony, and balance. We are in the perfect place, at the perfect time, in the perfect conditions, and with the perfect beings. We set and we energize our declarations. We declare that Gaia, that Mother Earth, is the ultimate governing principle, the way that humans govern their behavior on this planet, replacing all other forms of human governance. This is the way our behavior aligns with the will of the earth. We declare that humans are one family, one species, one destiny. Separations are illusory. We declare that humans are colony beings. We deepen and expand our human murmurations, our human harmonies. We declare that Gaia, that Mother Earth, is providing all necessary resources to achieve the vision of a world that works for all living beings. We declare that we are creating a political and economic system where all beings participate in it. All beings are in relationship with it. All beings own it. All beings benefit from it. And all beings govern it for the common good. We'll now meditate within this holonic energy, within the energy of Gaia, the energy of Mother Earth. We will be listening for any messages that we may receive that we will bring back to others. We'll be making any personal requests that we may have at this time. And we'll be deepening and expanding our human experience of our human murmurations, our human harmonies. We'll do this for the next 8 to 10 minutes, and we'll be starting now. And if we can come back to our mutual center, we will conclude our catalyst meditation with our inclusivity mantra. May I be well. May I be secure. May I be happy. May you be well. May you be secure. May you be happy. May we be well. May we be secure. May we be happy. And may all beings be well. May all beings be secure. May all beings be happy. And so it is, and so it shall be. And I thank you for joining us today.
It's good to be back from my very own wood panel place where my hand does not show up against my wall. Um, I I had to laugh when you started suggesting that we post about things we think are lies because that's what everybody's doing. We need to find another way besides saying, from where I sit, that's a lie, because that's what people are charging. Anytime someone shares their version of reality, someone else will come along and say, you're lying.
Um, that's not what I'm going to be doing. That's not what I'm going to suggest that we do. What I am going to be suggesting is demonstrable, and I would like to address that comprehensively, because that was a very comprehensive statement on your part. Um, and I'm not sure I can do that now. I'm not sure we have the time for that. And we are going to, I've got a couple of announcements to cover, and then we'll see whether or not we can get to that today. One of the announcements to cover is something that is um, almost more important than the veracity of our society, and that is movie night. Um, we're aiming for movie night in the Portland area. And for those of you who have voted for the movie of your choice, thank you. For those of you who haven't, get your fecal matter together. Remember, this isn't just like we're going to do this 3D face-to-face in Portland, thanks to the voluntary hosting of Angie. I want to make that clear that I didn't force her. I didn't twist her arm. I didn't um, promise her the riches of Commonway. She did it on her own, and we're grateful for that. And we're going to show our gratitude by not doing all the things I've threatened to do, which is have us all show up for dinner. Um, and um, and that means that we're going to be those of us in the Portland area will be coordinating how we're going to do dinner and not burden her or her house. Um, and I'm encouraging people who are not in the Portland area to do this. Get together with a friend or two or 20. I actually have a friend who has matching plate china place settings for 100. So I'm I don't even have 100 plastic forks in my place, don't ever expect that to get that from me. Um, and uh, to find the movie, which is, back in the days of Blockbuster, that wasn't all that hard. In the days of streaming services, it should be easier, but in some ways, streaming services don't stream certain things, and so um, it becomes very hard. Um, but yeah, get some friends together and say, we're gonna watch this and then watch it. Um, there's another thing that I was going to suggest to us, but I can't think of what it is right now. I am looking at my list of microphones that I don't see going on, which means that all of you are just absolutely set on how you want to see the world today. And uh, please remind me of something. I know I did this with our daily group. I don't know if I did this with um, our weekly group, but the various AI, not AI, obviously AI, not obvious at all, and then deceptive AI videos. Did we do that before? And Becky is nodding yes, and she should know, so I'm not going to do that again. Um, and so, I see. Um, iPhone 13 is on. I think that might be Jenna, but I'm not sure. And I don't see any image of iPhone 13, so I'm not sure whether it is or not.
Good morning. I just wanted to share that what came through for me in this morning's meditation was the concept of fear tied to unpredictability. And as a human, there are aspects of the nature world that I may have apprehension about because whatever that being might be unpredictable. And then what also came through was, in Gaia, I recognize and acknowledge that humans have been incredibly unpredictable in the way we've related with you. And that's what came through.
Um, Very, very true. Um, I was thinking about um, one thing came to mind, then 25 things came to mind. I'll try to do two or three. Um, in my travels around the world, I have come in contact with beings that are not human beings. Um, those beings, in many instances, can be predictable and can also be unpredictable. Very unpredictable by me because this is my first time standing in a canal to take with a group of 20 or 30 men. Um, the women were taking their afternoon bath around the bend. The kids were splashing up and down between the men and the women. And um, um, and across the bank, which was about the distance of uh, from here to the sidewalk across the street, and I've got a two-lane street out there, was a group of alligators or crocodiles. I have no idea which one. I was not asking for pedigree, and I didn't want to be in the water with any of them. And everybody was like, what's your problem? They're over there. And I'm like, yeah, but do you know how fast these things can swim?
Mhm.
Do you want to find out? And my fear level was high, although everyone was saying around me that it was completely predictable that they were not going to come across here. And it's like, yeah, but do they know that? And my fear levels were from my unfamiliarity levels. Um, Another fear level, well, lots and lots of fear levels from Sri Lanka, including a cobra under my desk, um, elephants rampaging at night, um, you name it, we had it. Um, we had a rogue elephant on the road one time, and it's like I'm used to regular traffic jams, like and I'm late, and the driver saying, "I'm not going past that thing." Rogue elephants and herds are very, very predictable and always leave humans alone. Um, Rogue elephants are always male, and you have no idea what they're going to do. Um, and um, there's stories attached just to that. Um, I was in Roberts, Canada, and I was out in my friend's uh, uh, in front of her dome house, and a bear walks by, and I'm sitting there um, without my bear spray or my bear gun or my bear Bible or anything, and it looks over at me and it's like, okay, well, there you go, and here I go. Um, and again, my friend says, "Oh, you don't have to worry about the bears." I said, "Yeah, but do they know that? You're telling me, you're not telling them." Um, so we managed to create a society where we don't have to encounter that. We keep the bears and the crocodiles and the um, cobras and everything else outside of our city limits. And in a way, our lives are diminished by that because that is us also. Our lives don't have the wildness in them that they can have. We don't know how to handle our own wildness. We don't know how to structure our own wildness. And so, and we don't even, other than seeing nature films, we don't know how to interact with it. So we sit down in our comfortable chairs and we drink our comfortable mushroom tea and we look at images and say, "Oh, that's so beautiful," or "That's so awful," or "That's so whatever," and we don't get to see it. When I was when I was a delegate at Forum 2000 years ago, decades ago, um, I said something to the group, but my comments were addressed to Hillary Clinton. Um, and I was telling her how a week before my being at Forum 2000, I was in a coffee house here in Portland, and I watched somebody, a man, a white not middle age, youngish man, open up a trash can, pull out a half-eaten sandwich that someone had thrown in the garbage, and eat it. And I told her, um, what's remarkable about that is that you would not be allowed to see that. and by implication, all of the other delegates there said, your handlers would make sure that you never, ever see anything like that. If you see something like that, it's because someone took a picture of it and showed you the picture, but you would not be exposed to something like that. And the fact that you would not be allowed to see it means that it will affect how you process reality. That process of not being able to see reality hasn't gotten better over time. It's gotten much, much worse. So we're allowed to, um, people make policy based on what they've been told, not what they can see. And Jenna, you just sparked all sorts of stuff. But just one more story. Um, as some of you know, I did a number of dialogue projects in the 90s and 2000s. And one of them was the Commons Cafe, where I brought people who were actual or potential adversaries together to talk about common issues. And these were very successful all around the country. Um, thousands of participants. Um, the really big ones being in Denver with 500 participants, Omaha with 800 participants, some other big locations. But I did a small one and a very significant one here in Portland. I'm here in Oregon, down in Woodburn. And the people who were invited were, on the one hand, undocumented farm workers, and on the other hand, Immigration and Naturalization Services, the precursor to what's now called ICE. And I brought them together, and which was really interesting because they did not want to get brought together, and they had to be guarantees on both sides. And one of the guarantees from the Mexican worker side was that the INS folks would not be taking any information. They would not be taking drive, license plate numbers. They would not be in any way tracking them. On the INS side, that was really interesting. They did not want. My stipulation was that this is a level playing field. So if you're expecting the Hispanic folks not to be carrying guns, and I expected them not to be having any weapons, then the ICE agents would not be carrying weapons either. Leave your weapon in the car. And they freaked out. And you've never seen grown men freak out like when you tell them you can't bring your gun with you. And they looked me in the eye and they said, if they know that we are unarmed, they will kill us. They will attack us. They will tear us limb from limb. The only thing that's protecting us is our weapon. What do you do with that? I was seriously, this is one of my lower points. At first I thought they were joking. I was laughing at them. It's like then I looked at their face, like they were not playing. And I told them that I would personally guarantee their safety. What they thought I meant by that was that I was going to carry a gun. and that if I saw the little old granny with the knitting needles going after one of them, I was going to blow her away. And on that note, they calmed down enough to say they were going to walk in the room. I still think some of them had concealed weapons. Okay. And when we started the event, the future ICE, the INS folks were freaked out. And halfway, not 10, 15 minutes into it, one of the leaders of the ICE folks came over to me and says, "Are these ringers? Are these actors that you just brought in here?" I said, "No, these are the folks that you're enforcing. All of them, you know, hardworking, one of the only stipulations that skewed the room was everybody had to speak English. You had to have a common language. And I found ways around that, but not with this group. And in their minds, they think that all of the people that they are doing enforcement on are gangbangers, are murderers, are rapists, and these are the only people that wound up in America, not your lawn care people or the dishwashers in the restaurant that you eat at, or other ordinary people. And we had a really good time. It took them about an hour to just relax, and really good conversations. And I don't know if it had any lasting effect because I wasn't operating with their superiors and whoever is feeding them the media that all these folks are so dangerous. And but I could, if we had a big enough uh, draw, we could. Yeah, I could. We could have a bigger. Um, so I guess I've gone from crocodiles to ice agents. But all the way through that, you've got the two themes, Jenna, that you highlighted: fear and unpredictability. And um, it's all um, it's all interesting. So I am pausing to see if there's other. Becky, looks like your microphone is on now.
Yeah, I had two interesting things kind of come to me during the meditation. One had to do with the infinity symbol, that shape, and it being motion, and the sensation that it's starting to reverse its flow. And that kind of the meaning came to me of that. Why am I seeing this in my mind's eye? Is that, oh, we have to go backwards. We have to go in reverse in order to be able to move forward. Like, otherwise, we can't move forward. We can't move beyond where we are. I thought, oh. And then the other thing, because I was also getting spiral image and the sensation of, and I think what that has to do, being on the East Coast, in the Atlantic, the conditions seem to be shaping up to have potentially a very rare occurrence of having two hurricanes emerging in close proximity, both in time and space. And as they sort of start to move, build up more strength, they may end up sort of dancing and swirling together while still maintaining distinct, that they're different. It's not all turning into just one giant one, but that we may get to see this dancing pair of hurricanes out in the Atlantic. So I'm thinking, oh, yeah, I don't know what the significance of that is, other than that's part of things that are happening that never seemed to happen before in recorded history, at least as far as humans are concerned. So I'm thinking, that could be pretty exciting. Also, maybe scary if it decides to blast on shore rather than just kind of dancing around in the middle.
Yeah, definitely unpredictable. Um, and we have a tendency to want to look at unpredictability as bad or evil, okay? And the folks who get up on their soapboxes and start, calling the end of the world, look at what's happening. And yeah, I think that we need to chill that and say, yeah, these are things that are just have not been happening. It does not mean that these things are bad. It doesn't mean that they're good. It just means that they're happening. I've been paying more and more interest in the comet that's getting larger and larger, or the thing that's getting larger and larger, the 3I Atlas. Um, we're going to figure out how to name stuff sometime in the future. Um, and um, um, I am uh, yeah, I'm from interstellar space to our solar system to our immediate planet to what's happening in on the East Coast as opposed to West Coast. We generally don't do hurricanes over here. We leave them over there. Um, um, although we have had a couple of hurricanes in the recent years come up the Pacific side, come through Mexico and actually land in New Mexico and wreak havoc that they don't usually see. They don't usually measure their rainfall in feet. So they generally don't even measure it in inches, but yeah, measuring it in feet is really something. Um, so I guess our theme from our meditation is this notion of unpredictability. And the thing that is predictable is the thing that we need to be cognizant of as, let's just say, holonic agents. And that is what we do in the face of this, that we keep our fear bells to a minimum and we keep our attention to the maximum and but be very, very careful what we are attending to. Um, are we attending to fear or are we attending to exploration? Are we going to take our actions based on fear or are we going to take our actions based on what is the right thing to do? Um, the there are times when lots and lots of stories come up for me, and today's story day. So the story I've told us all before about the situation of finding the guy in New York City frozen to the steam grate, and what we and patting myself on the back for the 30 or 40 people who tried to free him from being frozen to the steam grate. Um, what we did was quietly and ordinarily heroic. You know, we did the right thing, or we did a series of right things that turned out to be the right thing. But none of us did anything that was, we didn't need superhuman strength. We didn't need superhuman abilities. No one used laser beams coming from their eyes to melt the ice. No one, used stronger than human muscles to pull up the entire steam grate. Um, but we all did what we needed to do. And our efforts were not coordinated in that none of us, not one of us, had ever encountered a human being frozen to a steam grate in a sleeping bag before. I've seen that once in my life. I have no prediction that I'll ever see it again. So when I say we did the right thing, we achieved the task. What we did was 4 or 5 different things. All of us focused on the same task of, let's get this guy from being stuck on the steam grate. All of us except one. Remember, I said there was one guy the entire time standing there telling us, stop doing that. Stop trying to free this guy. Um, you don't know what you're doing. You could get in trouble with the authorities. The authorities may punish you for freeing this guy. Um, um, you don't know what you're doing. You might wind up hurting him more. I mean, that's like, all these things are true. Now shut up and let us let us actually lend a hand. Maybe that will be the thing that will actually help free him. So one of the key principles that I've been working on and working through, and I put this in, since it's right here, I'll wave it around. I put this in Birthing the Nation of Gaia, and that is, no ant can tell another ant what to do. When you look at how a hive operates, and you look at ants who are forced into dealing with a brand new situation. And there's this great video that I don't have any way of finding anywhere in the next 10 minutes, so oh wait, it's in the goodie box. Ants are given this task of getting a bar through an opening that is not big enough for the bar to go through straight ahead. And they give the task to a few hundred ants, and they give the same task to a human being operating a maze. And the ants do the task faster than the human beings do. And in a way, the ants' behavior is completely chaotic. Some are pushing, some are pulling, some of them are opposing each other, but they're all focused on their strategies can be oppositional, but they're all focused on, how do we do this task? How do we get this bar through this opening? And the ants do it, the human beings do it in 30 seconds, and the ants do it in 15. Because they keep trying. And there's no ant sitting on the side saying, stop doing that. Wait for the police ants to show up, you know? They recognizing their own inherent ability to solve the task. We lack those muscles. What I will be proposing in October is the process of starting to develop those muscles. And once we do that, the next task will suggest itself, then the next task will suggest itself, etc. I think that the problem that Greg posited is a problem of the magnitude of the society of what our issue is. The sheer amount of obfuscation that is going on through our society is daunting. But daunting the way that stopping a swift-flowing river is daunting to a beaver. They are completely poised to take their action. They have an inherent sense of hydrology. They just kind of know how big the tree is that needs to get felled. They they got the equipment, and they go to it. And this just happened in California. I mean, very recently, like within the last few months or so, where there were beavers in a particular area that were building their dams that were destructive of the agriculture in that area. And what breaker consciousness says to do in that situation is pass out your licenses to the hunters, and you go beaver hunting and you kill all the beavers, and then everything is better. And luckily, folks in California are awakening to a little bit, tiny bit higher consciousness than that. And what they looked for is an area that where the water management was not ideal. And they picked the beavers up and they moved them over there and plunked them down. And all of a sudden, the hydrology of the area that they took the beavers from settles down. And the area you took them to, like the beavers are like, wow, look at all the trees we get to chop down, and the water slows down and everything is much better. And this is called a win-win situation by thinking about the longer um, situation and not thinking about the beavers as a problem, but the beavers as an opportunity. And almost everything that you think of as a problem, you can recast it as an opportunity. And and we should. So me saying X is not a lie. X is artificially generated. And you have a responsibility to tell me that. And me saying that for myself, so what? If 50 of us say that about the same videos, somebody might pay attention. If 500 of us do that, people will pay attention. If 5,000 of us do that, they'll pay different kinds of attention. And then we may be able to draw the question of attention in our society in general, and to be able to see what truth making is in this larger sense, this larger society. And this is what Václav Havel says in his book, Living in Truth. We don't know what'll happen. What will happen if enough of us say the Soviet Union doesn't control us? Yeah, when a few of them say that, the Soviets take all of them and stick them in a nice, uncomfortable jail cell. Jail cells are meant to be uncomfortable. They are built to be uncomfortable. If anybody's ever been inside of a jail cell, you are uncomfortable. I know. um, um, in my second year of law school, in my criminal law course, professor takes us out to Concord State Prison. Sections of it are the second oldest prison in America and was still active. And they took each of us and put us in a cell and closed the door. And they then opened the door 5 minutes later, and I remember every single minute of those 5 minutes. I specifically remember the toilet facility being a hole in the floor. I remember not being able to stand up because the average height of a man back in the 1700s was not 6 feet tall. And yeah, that was very effective. And so, yeah, so can we be effective? As Václav Havel says, and I will guarantee that, we don't know. And what we can do is do the best we can. And this is the thing that all of the people in our lineage did. They did the best they could. They actually missed more often than they hit. It's true in baseball. The best baseball players don't hit the ball every time. Um, they didn't let that stop them. They just tried. The next time the ball came at them, they swung at it again. And so our challenge is, can we swing at that ball? Okay, folks. Any other questions, comments, thoughts? I think it might. Becky, you.
Yeah, I just uh, had one other little, the whole spiral thing and the hurricanes, that would be an opportunity because it's, all the weather nerds are really like, wow, this is going to be so cool if it happens. This would be an opportunity for the general population to witness and recognize what they're witnessing as a 4D phenomenon. With spirals, they're not like little wind things that just in place. It's like, no, they're, going through time and space. But most of the time, things are either changing too quickly or too slowly, and people just don't recognize, like, yeah, you're experiencing 4D. You're just not realizing it most all the time. But
Yeah.
this, could be really cool. It could be a unifying thing if people go, wow, yeah, this is cool. Besides just being kind of rare, that we could realize what we're seeing.
What you are saying is reminding me of something that my friend Carl Anthony, who is a noted African-American ecologist, said that he was talking about earthquakes, but this is also true for hurricanes and other events. He said that the earthquake, or in your situation, the hurricane, is not a disaster. It's a naturally occurring event. He said the disaster is putting your house on the fault line. And the hurricane is a natural, not only a naturally occurring event, very predictably occurring event. The disaster is building your house, a stick-built floating platform house that is blown down by hurricanes each and every time. and the insurance company gives you your money if you're lucky enough to have insurance, and you build exactly the same house in this exactly the same spot, and you are daring nature to do it again. Now, one of the things that I saw pictures of were houses in the Los Angeles fire that came through the fire without a scratch, without a sear mark, without, they had to take their patio furniture and bring it indoors. But other than that, they built for for the fire. When I lived in Savannah, Georgia, and if you've been to Savannah, Georgia, one of those beautiful cities in America, dead from the neck up, but beautiful. It was like living in a movie set. And the first floor of the house was about 8 feet high. And then the second floor was 16 to 20 feet high from floor to ceiling. Then the third floor was another 10 feet. I mean, so you had to walk a ways to get to your bathroom. But it was built like that. So because the first floor was built to be flooded. Yeah, it's regular floods in the Savannah area, hurricanes, storms, whatever. And the water would come through and would go out the other way. I mean, and you dry it off. It was made with water resistant materials, and you keep your carriage there in the first floor. You keep your slaves if you had them in the first floor. They didn't mind getting flooded. And that was a, a joke. You didn't build your house for the slaves. You built it for your comfort. But yeah, if you had a storm surge that was 4 feet, oh, I got to clean things up. But we know that storms and hurricanes are naturally occurring events. We seem to have forgotten that. Okay. Somebody said something. You know how they irrigate fields by having these sprays go out over the field. Half the water doesn't even reach the ground. It evaporates before it hits the ground. So they've started because water is becoming more scarce in California, they start rerouting the water through pipes underground or on the surface and not spraying it in the air. And somebody says we should have a front page headlines. Farmers discover evaporation. Wow, what a concept, is this a communist plot? It's no, we can do things. We can build a house. We do it right now. We build houses that are hurricane proof. We build houses that are hurricane resistant, hurricane appropriate, fire resistant, fire appropriate. We just lack the will to do it. We're too busy favoring our friends and punishing our enemies. And those are Democrats and Republicans doing that in their respective administrations to do what's needed, to do what's necessary. We'll do something different. We are doing something different now, and we'll be doing a lot more different in the future. And no, none of you have anything else to say. I am looking forward to movie night. I'm looking forward to tonight. We're going to do our evening catalyst meditation. I really, really hope you have some time that you can lend to this. I've gotten mixed reviews around the question of whether to have the evening meditation on Thursdays. We can move that to Tuesdays. Nothing's written in stone here. So I want to see what kind of what kind of response we get for tonight. Hopefully all of you will come, and then to look at what we do for the future. Okay, I am saying goodbye. This is my beauty queen wave. I look forward to seeing all of you tonight, and if I can't, seeing you at the next time that it's going to be appropriate. See you. Bye.